We're back for your ears only. I'm Eddie Robinson.
I'm David Alpern with this quote from the news. All personnel acted in good faith. That was J.P. Morgan Chase on allegations it turned a blind eye to the Bernard Madoff Ponzi scheme, leading to expected action in a federal criminal investigation. That followed reports of a $13 billion Chase settlement over problematic mortgage-backed securities. Also last week, a jury found Bank of America also liable in connection with defective mortgages. Now this.
Just people sitting by a phone or a computer, and people would be like, I want a bicycle. And then it would come to Amazon. You'd be like, we need to go find a bicycle. And then you'd run out and you'd get a bicycle and you'd write Amazon on it. And then you would send it to people's houses. I didn't know you actually made things.
Well, we started working on this 4 years ago, but mostly we do pretty much what you described.
Thank you.
It was 2009 when Amazon.com's founder and CEO Jeff Bezos stopped by The Daily Show with host Jon Stewart to launch the popular Kindle 2 tablet and take some good-natured ribbing about the company he'd made famous a decade earlier, winning Time Magazine's Man of the Year designation. 4 years have gone by, and the company has yet to turn a profit, despite becoming an innovative, disruptive, and often polarizing technology powerhouse, among the first to see the boundless promise of the Internet, according to a new biography by Brad Stone. The Everything Store, Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon, published by Little, Brown & Company.
The company started by selling books, but Bezos always had the intention of turning it into a full-service online marketplace, forever changing the way we read, listen, watch, and shop. And to that end, he developed a corporate culture of relentless ambition and secrecy that's never been fully penetrated until now by Stone. He's a technology senior writer for Bloomberg Businessweek, previously with the New York Times, Newsweek, and this radio show back when it was still Newsweek on air. And for your ears only, Brad Stone is on the line now. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, David.
Why a book on Bezos is obvious, given the prominence of Amazon. But how hard was it to get real candor from the man himself and those close to him? How long did it take?
Oh, it's extremely difficult. Amazon is a secretive company. It's right up there with Apple in the league of technology companies that are changing the world and don't particularly want to talk about their perspective. But 2 years ago when I started out on the project, I didn't ask for permission. Afterward, I started working on it. I went and I sort of begged for forgiveness. And I think, they recognize that their time had come. There have been great books about Apple and Google. And look, Amazon's changed the way we shop and read. And Jeff allowed me to talk to colleagues and family and friends. He didn't sit for the kind of reflective, look that Steve Jobs, of course, gave to Walter Isaacson at the end of his life. But he was supportive.
You have some little-known facts and an interesting theory about his being adopted.
Well, I don't know if it's a theory, but remarkably, like Jobs, the circumstances around Jeff Bezos' early childhood are somewhat different. Jeff never knew his biological father, who left his life when he was 3 years old. And as part of my research, I went to find him, and surprisingly, he did not know what had happened to his biological son. And I found the guy running a bike shop outside of Phoenix and actually informed him that his biological son was Jeff Bezos and was one of the wealthiest men in the world.
Describe Bezos' concept or philosophy as it relates to competition and a relationship with the customer. How does it compare to that of the other modern giants, Apple, Nike, Walmart, Costco?
Well, what Amazon would say is that they're customer-focused, but of course I think probably every company would say that. I think actually they operate much in the same way as other retailers like Costco and Walmart. Extremely frugal organizations, very inwardly focused. But Amazon's also pretty competitive, and I account for in the book the way in which it went and pursued smaller rivals like Zappos and Diapers.com and, gutted prices to the point at which the category was no longer profitable and ended up buying those companies. So, Amazon says it's customer-focused, and it is. Any Amazon, shopper would probably tell you that it's a pretty good experience. But they're a pretty ruthless organization, too, and the companies that have gone right up against Amazon have typically lost the battle.
Tell us how close Bezos came to being fired from his own company on the brink of the dot-com collapse.
Probably not that close since he had such a major percentage ownership in the company, but it was an interesting moment there in 2000, 2001. Amazon losing a ton of money. Its stock goes from the hundreds all the way into the single digits. And there weren't a lot of people that had faith in Bezos back then. I mean, now, of course, he's so highly esteemed, but I talked to several board members who they forced him to hire a COO, chief operating officer. That didn't work out well. And there was a time where I think they were wondering, can we replace this guy with someone who's going to run the business with a little more discipline? But Bezos, had this vision, and he stuck it out, and he proved a lot of people wrong.
Amazon's recent third quarter followed a familiar script. Revenue soared to $17 billion, up 24%, and about $400 million more than what analysts predicted. But all that could not yield a profit. Investors remain delighted, but how long can that last? When and how does Amazon get to use some of the black ink that I buy so much from it?
Right. It's a pretty good position to be in if you're an Amazon executive. You get to grow like crazy, and revenues are healthy, but you don't have to make any profit, and your investors still reward you. I mean, look, investors still have so much faith in Bezos because he's been right over the years for so long that they're just willing to bet on the guy and to be patient. And Amazon's losing money because it's growing. It's building fulfillment centers all over the country, and it's expanding internationally. And shareholders want to be along for the ride, even if they're not making much money right now.
Were you at all surprised at his purchasing of the Washington Post newspaper? And how do you see it fitting into his larger plans?
I would love to tell you that I anticipated it all along, and I had a whole chapter in the book on it, but I was, like everybody else, astonished. It was a huge surprise, but the more I thought about it, the more I decided to kind of fit in with his operating philosophy. He's made a big bet inside Amazon on reading, built a business for authors with the Kindle. Inside Amazon, they start every meeting reading a document. Bezos himself is a big reader of books and newspapers. So I just think that as the Graham family decided to sell the Post, he jumped at the opportunity because he believes his long-term orientation and operating discipline can help turn around the newspaper.
Brad Stone is a technology senior writer for Bloomberg Businessweek and the author of the new book, The Everything Store: Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon, published by Little Brown and Company.
Quote from the news, shrewdly, the company has started the process very conservatively. That was tech stock analyst Robert Peck on Twitter, pricing its initial public offering at $17 to $20 a share for a total value of $10 billion. Only about 11 times next year's projected sales. Also last week, Microsoft reported earnings of 62 cents a share, exceeding expectations, but analysts were wary pending appointment of a new CEO.
Next, with a song in her heart and the words on her lips. For your ears only.